Welcome to All Things MSP. I am going to make sure that everything is set up here. Although it does appear that my background got out of whack here. So let's just pull that back. There we go. That works. All right. We'll check LinkedIn. There we go. We're live on LinkedIn. And I'm doing this, by the way, because last week, for whatever reason, Restream did not bring the comments from LinkedIn into the feed. So, and I have to remember to mute these other live streams as I'm watching them so that, you know, it works. But anyway, so I'm pulling them all up and I'm going to leave them open so that if you guys comment and Restream doesn't pull them into the into Ecamm here, then I'll still be able to see them, still be able to respond to them, that kind of thing. The only thing I won't be able to do is I won't be able to pull them up on the screen like I can with when Restream does pull them up into Ecamm. All right, let's just get make sure Facebook is working. And it appears that it is, and I can see comments. So we're good as far as that goes. We're going to wait another 2 minutes and some odd seconds to give everybody a chance to get the notification that we are live. But I wanted to make sure, because there were actually a lot of great comments last week on LinkedIn, and I'm so sorry that we didn't see them. But that will not happen again. I will make sure that I have all three of them pulled up so that in the future, even if Restream's not working, I know that I'm actually seeing all three of them here. And I have all three of them paused so I won't hear myself in a delay, because that's the worst thing. When you start streaming, if you have them pulled up and you don't pause them or mute them, can really throw off your rhythm, because you're hearing yourself about probably 30 seconds delayed minimum. All right, let's see. A little background music here. Why not? Never heard that background music. Anyway, if you guys are joining tonight and want to ask questions, go ahead and ask them. We're going to have a great guest on tonight. Of course, it's not a secret. I put these things out there. They're on the, his face and the unicorn are as live as you can get, as big as you can get on the promo for this live stream. So I don't know why I act like it's a secret before we get started with these, because it's absolutely not. But I do have something tonight. I do have like the next almost 2.5 months already scheduled for live streams. Now, that being said, there are a couple of weeks where we won't be doing live streams. Next week is one of them. I will be busy with SKO, and then I believe the week before CCF, CCF. So that week I have something already planned for that Wednesday night, and then at CCF. I actually have one. Somebody snuck in before I removed it from the calendar. Oh. My guest is saying that the music is too loud. So hopefully that's better. He can shake his head so I can. There we go. All right. And well, we're counting down anyway. We're getting ready to start here. Oh, it's been one of those weeks already. All right, here we go. Hey, everybody, welcome to another edition of All Things MSP, where we talk about all things MSP. Sometimes, it's just fun stuff. Sometimes it's educational. We try and make it both. But a little housekeeping ahead of time. First of all, I'm just going to check with Sean. Are my audio levels okay and everything? Everything looks good? Okay, perfect. He's giving me the thumbs up, so we're good to go. Okay, couple of things first. Number one, if you guys don't know, we are also a Facebook group. So facebook.com/all things MSP. We have a group on LinkedIn. Actually, not a group. We have a page on LinkedIn. So it's linkedin.com/company/all things MSP. And then if you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, go ahead and run over there and subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. Of course, we are live streaming this on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and on YouTube all at the same time, just to make it easier for everybody else. And if anybody is watching, go ahead and comment. Let me know that you're there. And so I know the comments are working. And without further ado, I think that's all the housekeeping I have for tonight. I already told you guys that we have a whole bunch of live streams lined up, a lot of great people lined up. I believe the next one, which is, like I said, not next week, because next week I'm busy with SKO. But the week after that, I have Desiree Thomas on. And if you haven't seen her LinkedIn post lately, she has moved to DataStream, which is, I think, going to be a great move for her and obviously a great move for them. All right. So Chris Phillips is back. Chris Phillips checking again this week. Thank you, Chris. We really do appreciate you hanging in there for us and showing up. It really does help. All right. Again, without further ado, drum roll. Do I have a drum roll? I don't have a drum roll. I do have applause. Let's see. I have to unmute it first, though. Here we go. Oh, it's turned way down. Let's do this again. How about party noisemaker? I think that one's more appropriate. All right. Here we go. Sean Lardo, everybody.
A lot of times pre-checks happen not live, so I really admire your pre-check checking of your own show getting ready happening live real time in front of everybody's face. They just don't realize the struggle.
Well, and like last week, I didn't have everything pulled up, so we missed 8-10 comments on LinkedIn just because people had commented and for some reason Restream wasn't bringing it in. Now, Chris is on YouTube, and so those are coming in just fine. I wonder if I comment. I'm just going to comment test on LinkedIn. No, not showing up. What about Facebook?
This is exciting. I'm excited to be part of this with you.
I know, right? This is so much fun. Actually, the LinkedIn one, there was a delay, but it did show up. So it appears that the comments are working tonight. So
I see tests twice. I see Chris's. I can't comment from here. I have to actually physically go on and do this, right?
Yeah, you have to go into Facebook, into LinkedIn.
Yeah. All right, then, see?
And, all of this pre-show, pre-check stuff has already got me. I'm too far down in my glass. I've got to pour some more.
I'm already... I'm drinking Lagavulin 16 year.
Nice.
And I want to make sure I shout that out because that was a gift from one of my from the Pitch It winners this year. And I had no involvement in the judging, so we're all clear for them being winners. None whatsoever. Actually, your guest last week was one of the judges, won. And he sent me a bottle of scotch. They know I loved it, and you know how to get to my heart. That's for damn sure. So, shout out to Alert Ops, Chella. Thank you, sir.
Cheers.
And here's to drinking the whole bottle in a couple days.
So I'm working on the other side of the pond today, and instead of a scotch, because I've gotten into whiskeys lately, and this is Old Forester 1910. I'm I'm working my way through this. I was a big Scotch guy for a long time. Um, although Islay scotches like Lagavulin, not my usual. I prefer a Highland or a Speyside.
I'm a peaty guy,
Yeah,
so Ardbeg, Lefroy, all my wheelhouse, right? But I also like bourbons and whiskeys.
yeah.
To be clear, I and more bourbon than whiskey. Um, I would say that probably, and I'm cheap. I'm a cheap bourbon drinker, by the way. Uh, yeah, like I don't like. There's what's it called, Michter's. They have a Michter's rye, a Michter's small batch. They run for like $45 a bottle. Yeah, I'll drink that all day long. It's very good.
Yeah, but they're highly rated. Mechter's is always highly rated.
But the price is phenomenal. I actually have a bottle somewhere around here. Somewhere. I have lots of bottles. Anyway, so don't let me derail your whole show.
Oh, that's okay. I knew I was having you on tonight. You know.
And I would love if you said Chris Phillips from CompT, I'm assuming, was watching for a brief second there. I would
Yep.
love if he should come on and talk with us because my God, he let me. I was at ChannelCon last year in Chicago, and I'm not part of any advisory groups or anything like that. So first day I get there, I just walk up, I see somebody with a sign saying you're at CompT. I'm like, yeah, I'm here for the ChannelCon, and I say, no, I'm at this party for all these advisory boards that they're having. And Chris is like, are you on one? I was like, no. He's like, oh, just stay and get a drink. Come on. Like I totally crashed the party, and he welcomed me with open arms, and then invited me the next day to meetings that I was no part of, just so I could see what was going on. I was like, this is amazing. Yes, I will be part of all of it.
Yeah. And CCF, by the way, is coming up March 13th through the 15th. So if you
Mm-hmm.
haven't registered, go. I have inside information that says it's going to be really good this year.
I, I don't know when it isn't really good.
Well, this is true. This is true. But, there's a lot that we've changed in the last year with communities and committees and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the committees are going to be much more inclusive. Like a lot more people are going to be able to get involved in a meaningful way in
Good.
the committees. And the committees are the ones that are separated out. MSP, emerging tech, advancing tech talent and diversity, and cybersecurity. Those are the four. And so I just, we're planning the sessions. Obviously, I'm going to be working the MSP session, and just I think the way that it's coming together this year is going to be a little bit different, and I think people are going to appreciate it, and they're going to be able to get much more engaged, not just at CCF, but throughout the entire year. So I'm excited about that.
I like that. I mean, CompTIA I'm a fan of CompTIA's. Jen Ogle will tell you, I've referred so many companies to them because I just love the whole entire program. And I say the word program, although it's a community, it's a program. There's so many ways you can develop yourself and you're personally as a career, not with CompTIA, but as a result of CompTIA easily. And as a vendor, it's a great place to be to get more awareness, to get engaged. Yeah, that's right, Chris. I'm still talking about you, dude. So no, it's right. Don't worry, I'm writing your elevator pitch right now. But no, it is actually it's a great ecosystem. No matter which way you're coming in, it doesn't matter. They do a very good job of being that concierge for you, almost showing you around and what you should do, and almost, for lack of a better term, curating your experience almost in a way. And they're always looking for eager people to engage with and to help to raise the bar. And I think it's great actually. So I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, Chris. I got your point. He covers every week. But
Well,
Sean's on Chris.
it's bit. I think we have talked about it 3 weeks in a row now. So fair. I'm a
Well,
volunteer at CompTIA. I am not getting paid to say this.
yeah, me either.
So just to be clear,
Look at my camera. I moved around and look how crappy it looks.
it's out of
See that?
focus.
I know. Ready?
I hate it when they do that.
I know. Look, it's still not good. It is still not good.
This is
Hold
going to be
on.
the night of tech problems.
I hate that too. And hold up.
Oh, and I do have to get on you for just a second because I did when we set this up. I did text you. I think I texted you or I emailed you.
I know. I saw that, and
Uh huh.
I went with the Schoolhouse Rock shirt, and yeah, and this still sucks. Hang on, get back on focus. We can do this.
Oh, it was there for a second.
And still no.
There. Oh,
Nope, nope. And it's not tracking on anything.
try walking backwards and then coming. No, you. It was
It
just there.
worked. I know.
There we go.
There we go. All right. So, and I'll lower down this light a little bit. How about that?
Nothing like a bunch of tech guys trying to work things out.
Hey, thanks, Chris. Chris was telling us step back. Hey, so Chris, by the way, I still have this that I carry with me, dude. This was his gift to me for lightsabers. I've not put in a saber yet because it's kind of like become good luck for me. So it literally is on my in my backpack and goes on trips with me, just so we're clear, along with my neck pillow.
And I just have to throw it out there because I just put them back there tonight. Um, my two practical lights back there, the green and the blue, that is a double hilted lightsaber that
Get
I
out.
just turned on and put on the back of the couch.
That's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. Good. I have mine in the other room. I can't. I don't. I ran out of space actually to put things like so.
It
So maybe
happens.
maybe I'll do a redesign. So what are we talking about today? Anything in particular? Or are we just talking?
Well, I kind of put MSP resources because you and I have kind of been working on this list of
Yes,
different places where MSPs and vendors and employees at vendors who are just getting into the space and stuff like that can go to get information.
agreed, agreed. Well, and I'm just let's be clear, not just MSPs, but vendors, people trying to make their
Right.
way through this space and learn because I don't know, like, and well, I started this list because I mean, I've always had the list in my head. It's actually I'm already part of the groups. I follow the people we talked about, all these things, but like it came to me, Vicky Bruns, which most of you guys all know, she's actually amongst these committees also, and CompTIA, just so we're clear. One more plug for them. She works within our ecosystem, right, at ConnectWise, and she was like, hey, we want to get our people more engaged in different areas outside of ConnectWise, and so where do you go? What do you do? Who do you? And I was like, so I thought about it. I was like, well, I got to break. Let's break it down into three categories. Let's break it down into publications. So like, you know, CRN magazine to Channel Partners Network, right, and stuff like that, because those are good reads. You can read stuff like that, and even CompTIA's for their all their stuff they put out. And then the second category I put down was communities. So what communities to be engaged in, like yours, for instance, right? Yours and and what there's about, oh my god, I'm part of like 12 of them.
Yeah. Well, you've got IT Business Owners Group.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Everything MSP.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
IT and MSP owner group.
yeah.
You got oh god, I have them all written down. We should be better at this, right?
You should bring up that list.
I am right now. IT Inner Compass, everything
Yep.
MSP,
Lori's group.
Modern MSP, Amy Luby,
Yeah.
all things MSP, ConnectWise tips and tricks, ConnectWise boss, IT Business Owner Group, and that's just some of them. On those are just on Facebook, and then LinkedIn, IT Managed Services, CompTIA Connect, MSP Mentor Community. You also have this MSP subreddit. You have like the Tech Tribe. You have CompTIA as a whole and all their organization with all their communities. MSP Alliance, National Society of IT Professionals, and then going into the next level, which is like thought leaders. And I like thought leaders especially because you can start to cater to what match up to who you match up to and follow them,
Yeah.
right? Somebody speaks your own language because I think sometimes what I learned early on is I would be in these rooms or in these communities and I didn't understand the damn word that was being said. It was way over my head. It was a whole alternate universe for me of very in-depth tech people that were talking about some things I have no clue what they're saying at all. So I would just sit there lost. And so, when you look at thought leaders though, you can match up with people like for me, Jay McBain resonates well with me
Hmm.
because I love the numbers, I like the data. Not that I ever want to do what he does and put together all the data he does, because no, he's like an accountant or a CPA on steroids. I don't want to be that, right? He's great at that. But I like to look at what he does and dissect and figure out where the market's moving, right? Or what the current trends are. Or you look at somebody like Juan Fernandez from last week, where he's very much about channel enablement, channel growth. He gets it. That's why he's a channel chief again now. So, and even you, I listed you as a thought leader on there because I do believe you do. You share great content. You share good information. You're completely agnostic, even though you work for a company. That's what a thought leader should be. Though, is agnostic. I feel like it's for the betterment of the community, the betterment of the individuals, not the company you work for. Your company will reap the benefits regardless.
Right. Well,
So
and just in full disclosure, in case people are watching this and they don't know, I do work for Ignite. Um, and, I think it's a great company. It's a great product. Everybody should be using it. But in addition to that, um, all things MSP is my passion project. It's not connected to Ignite. I started it long before I went to Ignite. And I mean, you might find it funny, but this is what I do for fun.
here I am. So what's that tell you? Like my daughter, she's downstairs. She's like, "Hey, do you want to watch this?" I said, "No, I got to go do a live stream with my friend Eric." She's like, "Who?" I'm like, "Eric Anthony." She's like, "I don't know him." I'm like, "Yeah, I know. He's with another company. We see each other at conferences. We're gonna get on a call and talk about the stuff in the industry." She's like, and she kind of like rolled her eyes, like, "That's dumb." I'm like, "Yeah, I know." I was like, "So I guess the best you got, basically." I'm like, "Yeah, that's fun." Yeah. So yeah, I'm in the same boat. I don't know that I realize when I don't travel for a long period of time, I start tearing down things in my house and redoing stuff in my house, which is a problem.
We can talk about that stuff at the end because we talked about this already.
I
I have
know.
two projects going on in my house right now.
I know. I know. I
But
know.
let's talk about some of those resources in a little
Sure.
bit more depth for a minute. Um, and I think we have to mention it, the MSP subreddit, because it's probably the largest
Yes,
forum for MSPs that exists right now.
it is. It is. And I appreciate for what it's worth, but I also think some of it gets lost in the context of what it's supposed to be for. Whenever you see arguments on there, that's the only problem I don't like about it. But I love it for the fact that you can pull up a lot of value from it. I found like I actually had to step away from it at one point because I was caught up in the weeds of reading stuff, and I was like, God, this is stupid. I got to get to So I think the important piece about this, though, if you're in these communities, you have to try to eliminate the noise
Yeah.
and focus on what you're there to do. And again, based off what you do for a living is going to be based off of your interaction in that community. Like for me, I go on there to learn and to share some knowledge where I have it, or even help as a connector to connect people. If they say, "Hey, I'm looking for," "Oh, you should talk to this person. They're good for this stuff," or whatever. I treat it like that. I treat it as a sounding board in a way as well. Sometimes
Yeah.
that's
And
all communities.
I have noticed probably just in the last 6 months that there is less. I could use other words, but I need to stay family friendly, so it'll go on my YouTube channel. Um, Less arguing and conflict
I would
on the
agree with that.
MSP subreddit because it
Yes.
used to be pretty bad. I'll agree with your earlier statement that
Yeah.
it was pretty bad, which is why I didn't pay it much attention in the past. But I think the leaders in that subreddit have really kind of cracked down on some of that, not harshly, just appropriately,
Right.
and I think it's brought it back to a level of usefulness where it's something I check daily.
No, I they've done a great job at curtailing. Not even they didn't crack down. They just redirected into making it productive, constructive conversations, right? But I think I didn't notice it being too bad until COVID took place when the shutdowns occurred. But I think everybody was just lost. That
Yeah,
seemed like that was the peak of it. But that wasn't just this community. That was across the board. Let's be honest. It was across the board of all industries, and it was a state of flux that people weren't ready for. We know that. I don't know. I watched plenty of people that I'm good friends with struggle mightily to figure out how to navigate that new space of being first off fully remote, which you and I are used to,
Yeah.
um, but also being able to maintain and pivot to how to generate business. And that's even the vendors. We'll use ConnectWise as an example. I mean, I think ConnectWise is really probably the epitome of you couldn't ask for worse timing. They did acquisitions, all kind of big acquisitions over the couple years prior to that, especially in 2019 was continuing all that, right? Everything was taking place. And then all of a sudden, COVID. So they had to retool themselves to work remotely while they had to also retool themselves to have these companies this company turn into a bigger company and
Yep.
all the moving parts. And if anybody's ever been part of an acquisition, that's not easy. It's not easy if you have all the time in the world sitting there in a room together.
Oh yeah, it's difficult. I mean, for those of you who are familiar with my history, you know that uh, I started my vendor journey in GFI. GFI changed to Logic Now, just a brand, a naming change. But then Logic Now was acquired by SolarWinds, and all of a sudden we found ourselves with two RMM tools, two competing RMM tools. But what we found out through working together is that what's now Enable RMM, or Enable Insight, actually, they have changed the name again, and Central are really pretty different products. They might check the same boxes instead of in terms of the product, but they really they gravitate to different types of MSPs, and I think it's it's just difficult to find that coming together and be able to merge it and have 1+1 = 3, which is what you're trying to do.
Absolutely. But it's also exciting as all hell, let's be honest. I
Oh
love
yeah,
the hustle of it. I love the hustling of problem solving and creating something beautiful and making it successful. It's
yep.
one of my favorite things to do. So coming back on, I guess we'll go back to industry resources, right? Because we're trying to be there.
So actually, let me just say this, so that we can, we have an audience out there. If the audience would go ahead and comment on whichever platform you're watching this on, comment what your favorite community, whether it's a Facebook group, LinkedIn group, whatever it is, the subreddit. Go ahead and comment and let us know which one is your favorite. And then Sean, you can go ahead and pick that back up.
Yeah. No, good. That's a good call. See, that's why you're the host and I'm just a guest. Um, I would say, when I think of these industries or resources, again, I love thought leaders. I love following people. Plus, you can be friends with them. It's hard to be friends with a company, but you can be friends with these people and they're all willing to help. It's the one I'll say. The one thing that stood out when we were creating that list, there wasn't one person. Um, Chris is biased. Go figure. What I would say is the one thing about that list as I was creating it is every one of them is a helper. Every
Yeah.
one of them is a helper. I mean, how many things have we done? It's not like we get paid for this stuff, right? Back to passion projects. Every time I see you and we talk and we create content, there's no payment.
Mm.
It's just to share. It's to share things that we learned that we're excited about. You know, so thought leaders are great to be involved in that. But then communities are great because you can sit back as a voyeur and you can watch, right, and see what they're doing and get real, as opposed to reading marketing content that says what something does. You can see real world application people talk about what it does for them, meaning the MSPs. So when they say, hey, this, we'll use cybersecurity because it's like the sexiest thing alive now, and it's very ambiguous too what people do. Every single cybersecurity company says the same basic words because they're not inaccurate. It's just not a very deep dive into what they do. They all say, we protect your data, we protect you, we secure you. They use those kind of words, right? That's what you hear all the time. But it's what part of the journey are they really fulfilling in the total cybersecurity offering? Because an MSSP doesn't offer just one thing, right? If they're
Right.
providing a cyber solution, if they're providing cybersecurity as a solution to their clients, it's not just email protection or something like that. It's not one thing. It's a plethora of things, right? And so it's nice to be able to be in a community and you see these MSPs that are applying it and they're having a conversation about this, right? And when they're talking about it, they're like, I use this company X. And what I found is it does this, this, and this. Any suggestions? And I love those ones. When they say any other suggestions for my stack, and it gets blown up with 3,000 comments of everybody volunteering their information.
Yeah.
I use this, this, and this. I use this, and then they also, and then when they, and what I like about it is they volunteer it, and then everybody volunteers their complaints about them.
Well,
Goods and bads. You get real
you
data.
do. You do. And you do have to weed through some of it because let's face it, a lot of vendors have great products, but not so great partner experiences.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do
All right.
yeah, exactly. Or you can. I don't care actually, but it it is you're absolutely right. It isn't necessarily, you falter one way or the other. It's very hard um to be 100%. You can have a great product, poor messaging. You can have great messaging, okay product, or you don't know where it ties in back to your stack alignment.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, Chris, another plug for CompTIA, I constantly use the report that comes out every year for what MSP trends and what they should be using for text for their stack, right? But or you don't have a good partner experience, or you have a great partner experience. I mean, it really depends, and there's so many moving parts in it. And then also, some of it doesn't all fall just on vendors. It also comes in the fact of how many, it also goes into the fact of the MSP themselves and what they're willing to be involved in and what they're willing to talk about and to look for help in. That's fact. But all in all, I strongly recommend people be in communities, be involved, contribute where you can. If you're a vendor trying to grow your business, you should be in communities also and offering a helping hand, not pitching your stuff, not constant elevator pitches your product, but actually just offer a helping hand. Because even if you can't help them directly, you can help people indirectly.
Yeah. And really, if you look at the vendors in the space who have done that, who have followed that model of being helpful, they're the ones who have, gathered more of a following of loyal MSPs. Now, we were talking about publications earlier, and I want to segue just really quickly to talk about something that I saw. I believe this is sourced by Gartner, but it was in an IT Pro blog post. And the research from Gartner is showing that even though it looks like we're headed for a recession, and I mean, evidently, obviously uncertain economic times, that IT spend, a lot of IT leaders are looking at IT spend as recession proof. And the interesting comment that they made was that there's a separation. There's the group of companies that are investing in IT, investing in security, and then there are the ones who aren't. And I think there's two interesting things about that, and then I want your comments, is number one, the bad guys aren't quitting. They're not scaling back because we're going through economic whatevers, okay? And the second thing is, if they're investing in IT now, they're going to be that much ahead of the curve when we get out of this recession or whatever it ends up being. So I think that's really interesting, and I think it's a differentiator, and I think it does, at least parts of it, the security piece for sure, scales down to SMB.
I would agree. No, I don't think a recession will, in my opinion, and not that I'm the expert of all, but the fact of the matter is, going back to COVID, it moved everything to digitalization, right? So many things happened, right? It changed the way people do business. IT spend is now business continuity conversation, period. Because it's not just cybersecurity. Let's just use Microsoft as an example, right? How many MSPs sell Microsoft 365? Almost probably 99.9% of them to their clients, right? I mean, you're either doing that or you're selling Google, right? Or Gmail, whatever you're selling, right? But you're selling something similar to something. But using Microsoft as an example, it's become the de facto infrastructure of business operations between chat SharePoint, which I'm not a huge fan of SharePoint, but it works. And if you do it right, it's great. Um, Teams, conversations, email, the Outlook itself, take your pick, Word, all that's all happening. So that gets spent on that regardless. That's IT spend, right? Now what happens next? If you implement Microsoft 365 into a company, what are the stages? Implementation is a big key of this. MSP should be selling their implementation to them big time. I know they don't make much money from selling Microsoft. I know that, but they should make money off of their services. I just sat with three MSPs last week that showed me their game plan of how they've been doing it for the past few years and what they charge for implementation to use Microsoft as that infrastructure business tool for these businesses. It's phenomenal, and and it's smart. It makes them sticky with them because people think they can't use 365 unless they have an MSP, which is weird. But
Yeah.
but it's really good and it keeps them there. So, and actually, Keith actually had an actual really good comment. I'm
Yeah, I'm
surprised.
going to go ahead and add that in
Yep.
about the cybersecurity, and I think this is absolutely true. Keith is saying that as the global economy slows down, the cyber risk factor actually increases. Because they're going to try and take advantage of it, right? They know that some people are going to cut spending, and so the bad guys are going to try and take advantage of that.
Agreed. Again, in business continuity is important. You can't shut down for a day. I mean, it's simple math. If you calculate how much money you make a day, if you go down those days, what did you lose?
Yep.
Just in production and revenue generation. Not to mention, not to mention what you're going to have to pay to get back out of this train wreck. You know, um,
Yep.
and MSPs are, if it's a holiday, they're like plumbers coming on a holiday, man. It's double the price, triple the price, holiday rates, man. And I don't see IT spend going away at all ever. I see it just increasing. People have learned that automation is crucial. Look how much they spend on that. But look what automation does for you. Now, if you're a small business also, if you can learn to automate simple tasks, you can now hire skill set players instead that actually are
Yep.
producers for you. You don't have to hire all the admins anymore. I talk at like a constant conversation I talk about a lot, and especially when I speak in front of people, is when you look at automation, and I came from marketing and sales background, market automation platforms changed marketing. 20 years ago, when you were in marketing, there was like 100 people in marketing when there only needed to be five. But the other 95 were admins, and they were the ones that were using Excel spreadsheets to calculate things and, from clicks and whatnot, sending out the email campaigns. They were doing all this stuff. Um, what it turned into, market automation, it did away with those. It made those other 95 people step up their game and become more of experts in the field and start to do the really important, crucial things you need done, which is content creation, strategies, tactical approaches, stuff like that. So now you're actually talking about making money or making business as opposed to just trying to count the beans,
Yeah.
which were very few and far between because you're so busy counting the damn beans, you couldn't afford to pay for the skill set people.
Yeah, and I think Keith has another good comment on this as well. As companies are doing restructuring and things like that, um, it does give them the chance to look at their workflows and find out where you can drive those efficiencies. And with the MSP, that ties back to that automation that you were just talking about, Sean. Everything, you know, in IT almost can be enhanced through some type of automation, whether it's through your RMM tool, whether it's through your PSA. There's just a lot of things that can be done
Oh
uh,
my lord,
to
yes.
to make you more efficient in running your MSP. And I mean, every minute of technician time that you save is huge because labor cost is one of your largest costs as an MSP.
For everybody it is. And again, it is really it's automation will never do away with people jobs. Totally, right? It's not supposed to. It's supposed to complement the existing jobs, right? It's supposed to be, it's supposed to help you to. It's a multiplier effect, right? It's an amplification tool. That's what it is. How do you triage faster for things like ticketing systems, right? You go into same rules apply. How do you triage? And you've seen plenty of technologies come out where they're triaging what's a level one, what's a tier one tech. I forgot my password compared to
Yeah.
what's a real problem like we have outage. Big difference in the two. And so it's made again back to being efficient. Now you can take your employees that are your tier one techs and say, look, let's teach you new stuff. Let's teach you how to become a tier two tech, right? And that's the big difference. And it's, again, it makes you more effective. It gets people coming out of school or taking their first job getting more excited that they can see a future of not just answering phones and solving password problems.
Yeah. And
Which
then when we get good at that as MSPs, then we can do what Keith recommends here, and we can now take that automation, start looking at our clients' workflows and
Yep.
help them improve, their efficiencies. And again, because this is Dave Sobel talks about this a lot as well, as stop being a cost center and start becoming, a revenue increaser instead.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. And that's, again, that's why I don't see the tech space ever going down. I don't see MSPs struggling. They should never struggle if they do this, because they should be building their practices internally for what they're going to sell externally. You can share that post. I don't even care.
Really, okay? I'm gonna do it.
Good.
By the way, guys, there's this thing between Sean and Keith. Just so you know, I'm sure a lot of you have already seen it online before.
Oh,
Yeah, so it's
well, and let's be clear how this all started.
oh, good, because I don't think I've heard this story.
So back, and this actually is great full circle to our original conversation. I met Keith in a community. I met him in everything MSP community with Dan Tomaszewski's, right? And Dan always has those calls, and we didn't start talking until COVID. No, you can't tell a true story, Keith. And when COVID was in full swing, Dan had a call like every day because everybody was scrambling to figure out things, right? So everything from the PPP loans to how to become a remote workforce to take your pick, whatever it was. And so Keith and I were both regular contributors, and so Keith and I became friends off of that. And by the way, even though Keith talks a lot of smack, he's a very humble guy. He's extremely intelligent, but he's very humble about things. And we were talking about, like, actually what started our talking was um, Dan said to me, he's like, hey, can you give some input on how to create what you do for sales processes for your people and what you like? And so I talked about playbooks and scripts and stuff like that. And Keith messaged me, he's like, hey, if you have that, can you send to me? So I send them all that, and we talked through that, and we just became friends from that, right? But then there was no it was different banter then. It wasn't this banter. And I was with the OIT boy, but Ray, and we did an NFL Pick'em league because we were all working from home and we're just keeping engagement. And it was a Pick'em league, and Keith beat me 1 week. And he then says, in this group chat that we're in, I'm Sean's daddy because he beat me. And this has never left Keith. And I say he's very smart, he's very humble, but he's also very old. And he doesn't really know sometimes where he is. And I mean, this is to you, Keith. I appreciate you're still doing it all or something. But he maybe he thinks he really is my dad. I don't know. But he doesn't send me anything. He doesn't really, there's been no allowance. There's been no nothing. So just saying.
Well, especially with all the limos that you send him to pick up to go to every event that he's going to.
Right. He's publicly stated that, and I've gotten no reciprocation, just so we're clear. Talk about being a poor parent or a pretend parent. Poor pretend parent. Back to PPP. That's what he is.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So it has not stopped since then. But I would suggest any MSPs, if they ever have questions on things, they should bounce it off Keith. Seriously, he can give you a lot of good information, man.
And he's out there. Like, he's
all the time.
He's at a lot of different shows. Love to run into him. Usually have, some time to sit down with him and chat for a while, which,
I try to avoid him, but I do spend some time with him. No, we have cigars at every event. Oh, see, he gave me one ride in a car because I had stuff to take, and now who drove me around? And part of this, when he drove me, I bought everybody shirts. Me, him, and his son Ryan. I bought us shirts at a store. Yeah, so I paid for that ride. And by and nothing in Anaheim is cheap, by the way. They quadruple the price on things. It's weird.
Yes, yes. Well,
Yeah, a
Disney.
$10 t-shirt's like $90 for the same shirt. It's just the weirdest thing.
Yep.
I thought it was handmade. I asked them. I was like, "Is this handmade?" Like,
All right. So let's bring this back.
yes,
Interesting story, though. Did enjoy hearing the story because I had not heard the origin story
yes,
before.
yes. Mm-hmm.
Um, but we're talking about MSP resources. And there's something that I, despite all the buzz, actually, something that I've become very interested in the last week or so, and I'd love to get your opinion on it. And I do consider it a resource, especially we were kind of talking about marketing a little bit there. Is Chat GPT and
Oh,
AI. I mean, I used it this week. I'll admit, I created a couple of social posts. I've written a couple of job descriptions with it, or at least started them. Right? It
mhm.
doesn't. It's not going to give you final product, right? Most of the time,
No.
but it's going to give you something very close. And especially when it comes to the marketing realm and some of the administrative things that we need to do. One of the things I haven't done that I'd be interested in, I probably need to bring Wayne Selk on or something. Uh,
Hmm.
to, I'd love to see it write a privacy policy and see how close it actually is.
Yeah. Well, okay. So it's almost like this has taken the workload from like ghostwriters, right, and technical documentation writers, and stuff along those lines, right? Not foolproof, but there is a lot. So before this became wildly popular, there was a product called Jarvis. Did the same thing. I messed with it a couple years back. I found it to be phenomenal because for me, I'm not a professional writer, right? I'm not. I can talk about it and I know what I want to key in on. I know my talk points, but can I create a formal write up? No. So, but I do want to get my message across. So what I noticed is, and I messed with this too recently again, and I really like what it does for me because I'm not writing security stuff up. I'm not worried about that part. I'm writing content for people to digest, right?
Yep.
It's just consumable content. And the only thing I had to do was I put my talk points in. It created me a nice article. I just had to go back and refine because the one thing it doesn't do is it can't replicate your voice.
Right.
That's the one thing it can't do. And I don't want it to. I want it to be formal so that I could tweak it to my voice.
Right.
It's not, but it even tells jokes, which is even better, but not my jokes. I think they need to probably incorporate like dad joke central in there so they can pull all my dumb jokes up and throw it in there, all the
Yeah.
good puns. But no, I love it. It gives me the ability to write things I want to write. I could, if, and you do this, you're creative. I'm not creative I can't just turn it on at that moment. It's not how it works. It's all of a sudden it's like 10 o'clock at night. And I'm like, you know what? I have an idea. Let me go up and start messing around with this. I have, oh my God, Word documents are my friend, right? They always have been. I probably have about 85 Word documents of stuff I thought about, all individual articles I never even posted because I never could formalize that I've now started to pull out and throw in and see what it's creating. And so now I'm developing my own process that I'm throwing these in there and I'm trying to make it a good. It's all about storytelling, right? And it's a campaign. It has to be in some sort of order when you're telling a story, whatever that is. And so now I'm going back and I'm actually refining and I'm creating around that. And I'll start numbering them so I can start putting them out. That's so we'll see though. You'll know if it's really well written stuff. You'll know it's AI.
It's AI. So Keith says he suggests that we read more and take the time to develop your base and just be real, um, which is true, right? Um, that is an absolutely true statement. Reading is one of the best ways to get new ideas into your head. One thing I want to mention is that if you use Canva and you did not know that this was a feature, Canva actually has an AI writer inside of it as well.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you have to create a document and then you can create a document and then tell it to use the AI. to create what a list of 10 YouTube videos that you want to make, or the top 10, whatever. One of the
I,
things, and you mentioned it, is you know with Chat GPT, one of the neat things is you can ask it something, but that's not where it ends. If it comes up with something and you're like, no, I need you to de-emphasize this and emphasize this more,
yes.
you tell it that and it will do it. So you can have it, you can have a conversation with this thing and go back and forth. And the one thing that would be interesting that I haven't really tried with it is a type of brainstorming to see how it would handle, generating ideas through a conversation like that,
It,
instead of just
I
giving it a
watched
discrete task.
I watched Wes Spencer and Jimmy Hatzel. They did it live on this, and they were talking about the security element also of it, right? That was a big part because obviously they're security guys, but they really did. They kind of were brainstorming in a way, but not fully, and it was doing well. What I don't think it beats if I bring you in a room with me and we talk about everything. If I bring a team in and we brainstorm together and spitball, I think that's almost better because you get multiple perspectives, and I don't think AI can give you. Again,
No.
if I want to create the grand poobah of articles, I want your perspective, and that can't give me your perspective. Just like it can't give me my perspective, it can just generate my talk points.
Right.
But what it does that's so nice is it pulls content, it pulls information that you don't that I would spend hours googling, right? Or looking at articles from publications. It's actually doing it for you, which is it's phenomenal. I can't. I like it. I'm a big fan. I started messing with it. I like I said, I got to dig more into it and start recreating and create these articles. So if you see me start putting out an article once a day, I've mastered what I need to master for the moment
Yeah.
until I'm
I
out of
think
ideas.
it's extremely interesting. I think it's a lot like calculators were 20 years
Mhm.
ago. Well, no, 30 years
Well,
ago. I,
dude,
I,
you probably still think 30 years ago was 1970, right? It's that thing. Yep, I
I,
know. 30
for
years
those of
ago
you
is
who don't know, yes, I am that old.
so am I. 30 years
Um,
ago is 1970.
anyway, I think it's interesting, and Keith says it was an abacus back in his time. Calculators were looked at as
And
cheating,
like, yeah,
back then. Back when you and I were in high school,
calculators were cheap. I have the
calculators were cheating.
I have the Casio watch
Yeah.
calculator. I still have it. I wore it to IT Nation Connect for the 80s night.
Oh, that's right. You did.
I did, and it was cheating. But is it? But then, like my older daughters in their 20s, when they went through school, they were taught how to use calculators the right way
Right.
to to work out all the problems. That like that would. I remember. I mean, by the way, I hate algebra. Just so we're clear, I hate it. I started learning polynomials and all that stuff, and that problem becomes very extensive. Right now, they learned how to just go in a calculator, figure it out, carry everything over, and solve. Done. And then they got then Common Core math was brought out, and that's my 13-year-old went through Common. I had to reteach myself math. I had to watch YouTube videos on how to do Common Core math. You know how hard that is?
Yeah, I haven't even tried.
You don't. It doesn't. It, Marnie Stockman will yell at me because she understands why. She was a math teacher and she's already lectured me on it. I agree that it's good for problem solving mindset. 'Cause that's what it's about. Is
Hmm.
how to really solve. It teaches people. It teaches kids how to actually do problem solving. Totally love it. But my goodness, what about the parents? We've already done the problem solving in our head. I had to learn every multiplication problem. You did too. Now I have to learn how to do it in Common Core. My goodness, no. I'm
Yeah.
glad this is my last. I'm glad this is my last child. She almost failed math because of me. By the way, Marnie did tutor my daughter in math, just so we're clear, because I couldn't do it.
Marnie's awesome. I got to get her on here at some point.
You do. She has a lot to talk about.
I'm gonna
Um,
I'm gonna have to start having more than one guest because, like, I mean, I put out that one call and I'm booked. I think through March.
Good. I'll
Oh,
jump
I'm
on
not
whenever.
complaining.
If it's a good conversation, I'll jump on and talk smack with you all. That's
Oh,
fine.
I know you will.
I appreciate the banter. I appreciate learning from other people. I think everybody should.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
that's
even
what
when
we
you're
do this
all,
for.
right. And well, and let's get back to learning, right? I'll stop complaining about Common Core math. But regardless, you should always look for the newest tools to improve your life and learn how to use those so you can be more effective. Yeah, I see it. I see it.
Um, and by the way, Keith is bringing up some good points in the chat, um, in terms of the calculator versus AI, and it's interesting because there are two sides to this argument, right? There's the side of the argument that says we have lost some ability to do some of this calculation, some of this work, some of this thinking manually, and that's a deficit. But we've gained this tool or tools that in real life make us more efficient. So I don't want to get into a whole philosophical thing here, but that would be an interesting conversation to have.
I would agree. But can't we just agree on the fact that maybe that teaching hasn't even caught up to the fact of using the tools the right way to teach, to dig deeper into the other topics that they should? Like now you can spend more time on the Renaissance period, right? And teach about that as opposed to teaching how to do math because now
Yeah.
you can use a calculator, right? Um, and I don't know that we don't need cursive. Let's be honest. Cursive is not a necessary thing to learn anymore. The only time anybody uses cursive is when they sign their name. And most kids don't even know how to sign their name anymore. And most things are electronic signatures. So what's the difference?
Yeah.
You know?
True.
So I don't. So there are things that we could probably do away with, and we can do more in other ways. I think completely. But I strongly advise people to learn about it, but then dig into your passion and learn more about that instead. Because now you don't have to be um, what's the word I'm looking for? You don't need to be boggled down or tied down to learning all the other hard stuff that wasn't relevant.
Right.
You know. Look at Keith. Yeah, Keith. We're ranked top 10 in English competency, and you missed the N in competency. So just so we're clear, and you spelled it wrong completely. But hey, who's counting?
All right. So we are coming up at the end of the hour, and I actually promised my wife I would try and end this early tonight.
Fair enough.
So maybe we can just end it on time. Uh, Sean, great to have you on the show. Any last words?
Um, last words. I'll do a shameless plug for Pitch It because we're about to next month we'll open up the application process for vendors to apply for Pitch It. Anybody doesn't know what Pitch It is? It's ConnectWise way of giving to the community of bringing in emerging technologies where they compete in a Shark Tank concept competition. Um, there are great companies that were in it last year. I would love if the MSPs that watch us would actually take a look at these companies. You can, I can give you the link if you want to put it somewhere.
I don't think I can actually comment back to all of the platforms.
Okay, well, I would say, well, then just put on I'll put on the YouTube. But if you're interested, you just go to connectwise.com/, the IT Nation / pitch it, or you just Google IT Nation pitch it and you'll find
Yeah.
it. I mean, just make it easy. But I strongly suggest if you're looking for stack alignment and looking for new things to add to your stack, these companies are emerging technologies and they are willing to work with you. And last year, our finalists were phenomenal from everything from QBRs to automated pen testing, which is a very, very big conversation. If you can automate pen testing, many arguments they can. It's been proven. It's done well. But take a look and show support for these guys. These guys are the future of what you're going to offer to support your customers.
Yep. Awesome stuff.
That is it, man.
All right. Well, Sean, thank you very much. Hang in there for a minute because I will come back to you when we finally close this out. But thank you very much. I know that the audience for this seems to be growing every week. The number of comments certainly is growing every week. And I will just have more and more people on here that I think you guys need to listen to and discuss things with. It's why I have the comments turned on for all 3 platforms, because I want to hear what you guys have to say. Now, speaking of those platforms, just so that we go through them quickly so you know where to find us everywhere, all things MSP on Facebook. And then LinkedIn, we have a company page where we, do a lot of our posts, and obviously we do these live streams. And then if you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, because there is content on the YouTube channel that doesn't necessarily make it to the LinkedIn group or the Facebook group. So go ahead and like, subscribe, ring the bell, do all of the YouTube things. And until next time, we'll see you around the MSP table. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night, everybody.